Um, last time on the Journey of the Six, uh, the party was already in a predicament, and it only got worse. Um, Mammoth, Mustang, New, and Kipley were having a conversation in the upstairs library of the guild hall on Paradise Peak, discussing what steps to do next as a group. There was talk of running. There was talking of facing punishment for crimes that were committed. And also trying to maybe find allies and ways to skirt around details in exactly what happened. Um, and that plan was very promptly crashed, as well as the essential party was crashed by a number of a mixture of invisible guards, some of which were listening into a lot of that conversation, and another entire task force downstairs that were sent up to gather you for interrogation. Because normally you would presume there would be some sort of process, you put in a holding cell and work things out. Uh, but in this case, when there's confirmed evidence and of people of your power level at this point now, because you're getting pretty strong, uh, it's more of a cuff first, ask questions later. Um, and the majority of you were dragged down into the underdungeon, which is literally just underneath the main guild hall. It's nothing fancy. Um, but the party was split up into two groups, Kipley and New going off to the right, Mustang and Mammoth going off to the left, where essentially had two very different conversations. One was just more of a polite, hey bud, we caught you, you did some illegal shit, you're gonna get jail time talk with Mustang. Um, and Mammoth was all right for a little bit. We'll get to that later. Kipley and New got the full rundown. Um, we haven't seen canonically what happened to New yet, but we'll get to it. We'll probably do a little bit of retconning if and when, hopefully, Brian comes back. But Kipley got a major rundown from Captain Ironguard, who just asked a lot of basic questions, trying to figure out if there was any sort of foul play into why you did what you did with the Monarch of Mischief and all that fun stuff. But after just straight up admitting, nah, I did it because I wanna, um, they brought in a different kind of interrogator, um, the Yapinator, if you will, who is a strange man. He never got his name. Came into the cell and began a mixture of telling stories and asking questions, some of which were just on track, normal questions, some of which were personal. Um, and overall, you couldn't really pin whether this guy was part of the establishment, a third party hired, anything really, except the fact that he was rather strange, um, fitting with this group. And you had uh, a very strange series of events that transpired once he started to dive into your memories. Um, you got to revisit the lovely reminder that Kipley still doesn't technically have a memory slash know how she formed a pact with the Bone Mother. You weren't fully there when you did. Um, he started peeking through your family, your upbringing, and kind of skipping through the majority of what your life was until he found more recent events rather interesting, specifically on Port Cliff when you were fighting off all of those heralds in the underground, and it was very much like flipping through a book and then stopping at every juicy page or something just piqued their interest because you are the person with the memories, so you can tell what they're looking at, and he just kind of lingered on that moment for a long time. Uh, and then we hop back, and Mammoth sold out his life. He admitted that he killed a bunch of people. Um, could have lied, dude. But instead, just thought honesty was the best policy. Which, you know what? In morality, you win that fight, buddy. In real life, you lose that fight because you just straight up admitted to killing all the heralds, which at the end of the day isn't the worst thing, but also you did it without contacting the guild, and you didn't really have any confirmation that they were heralds. It got a little messy, and it got to the point where you told this to a guard, and a high-ranking one at that. So it was one of those things where they couldn't really just ignore it, even though you're friends of Captain Nineguard. If you had told Captain Nineguard, that would have been even more hilarious. Uh, but the session ended with the majority of the party underground being brought into chains once more. Even those within the break room, so now Mammoth and Mustang are back in chains, and hoods as you're being moved to a different location. Kibble, the man who you're talking to seemed to have clearly a secondary agenda, as he tried making you drink this strange greenish liquid. You refused, and he tried to pry open your mouth. You won a strength check, which props to you. And then he ended up stabbing the shit out of your hand, which like isn't crazy amount. Is literally just like not even enough to deal a point of damage, just to break the skin. And then spilled a little onto your hand before stabbing himself to presumably make it look like you attacked him. And he clawed or fought back. Meanwhile, the other half of the island, we're going to do 2-second recap. Duradon went to go talk to Evelyn Kroll. Evelyn Kroll seemed like a somewhat decent being for a little bit. Essentially said, hey, bud, I can help you, but there's going to be a lot of consequences. Do you really want me to? Duradon said no. And then she gave him a little bit of information, a nice little +1 cloak that is normally used for experiments, but still somewhat functional for battle, and it's not attunement, so it's nice. And essentially ran down the realistic outcomes of what happens if he tries to beef with an archmage, which is the party ends up dead and or in the wall, which neither are good. So she said, hey, you do you. Don't tell me what you're going to do because I don't want to know. I will become an accomplice. But at least asked what general direction you were heading, whether back to the city or elsewhere. And since you wanted to go talk to the Dumbalas, she gave you the hidden back exit to the Dumbala estate. Oh, and you also, we got a little guard background as you met Nim, one of the Western City guards, who is somewhat long-term, like, not friends, but just associates of Duradon as you pass through that route, since you're one of the only people in Evelyn Krull's hire who isn't any kind of magic user. So I love the idea that he has to walk back and forth between the city and Evelyn Krull's estate every time he wants to talk to her, which is fantastic. It's like a 45-minute walk. So you made your way up to the Damala estate. You saw Kira. You had a conversation in her head, which is hilarious because Aisling was right there. So in her eyes, you just stared at each other for like a good 15 minutes. And that conversation ended up being you asking her for help. She flat out declined. She didn't seem interested. She looked a little defeated, a little scared. And with an insight check, you recognized this and decided that, hey, not every battle has to be yours. That's fine. And then, very interestingly, you decided to tell the Dumbalas, which, to be fair, Duradon would have not a lot of knowledge on this. As players, we do, but in character, wouldn't. That the Dumbalas and the Renels are very close family friends. And you told Aisling that Lorenzo tried to kill you with Disintegrate. More importantly, you said he did kill you with Disintegrate and you came back, which started a very horrible false kind of pretense to the conversation where a few words kind of went wrong and it called for a persuasion check. And boy howdy did we roll a natural one. Um, it's rough. The party decided to go with a really honest route. It's gotten into some really interesting situations, and one of which is more than half the party is currently in chains, being moved to an underground jail, and the other member who is trying to free them is now squaring up with Aisling Damballa, the daughter of dragons, um, which I did ask you to roll for initiative last session, and I will preference this session with it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be in a combative state slash a fight yet. The reason I ask for initiative is this is no longer a friendly conversation. This is no longer just conversing. This is now you have made a lot of very bold claims and you are starting to sell something that isn't wanted. Kind of narrative that in Ashling's head doesn't make any sense. And so as we pick up tonight, we are not, again, necessarily going to be making any hasty moves right off the bat, but I will warn you, it can 1000% end up in combat. So, as we start off tonight, I think we're just gonna wing it for now instead of using this really shitty battle map that I hate. As we start off tonight, you're still kind of in the main lobby of the Damballa household. You can see after your previous statement, Aisling, who has been one of like the kindest souls you've run into in the most recent couple of weeks, months even, um, quickly changes the body language and kind of just the tone and atmosphere of the room changes with her. You see as she steps away from you, Duradon. And while not reaching for any weapons yet, just an intensity kind of builds up in her eyes, whereas more of a glare rather than just that pleasant smile that's been kind of just wafting across her face throughout this conversation. As we start off, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to make a wisdom saving throw. You do have advantage, and you are back to your normal stats. So you get your normal Calistar bonuses and all of that lovely stuff. In terms of initiative, we're going to be rocking here with a whopping... I'll just drag the tokens out for the sake of sakes. Oh my god, Aisling Massive. I think you got 12. Aisling, after I rolled last time, got not 177, if you would believe it. You got a 17.
Alright. Wisdom save.
Wisdom saving for a please, sir.
That's a 21.
21? Cool. Passed with flying colors. You see as she whispers something under her breath, and you feel as if and this is a very familiar feeling too, because you've resisted the spell multiple times. You feel your body begin to lock up, and your joints just begin to stiffen for a second as you kind of reach out and try and say anything, and you stutter before you just feel that wave of kind of just emotionless, not yet rage, because you haven't gotten into any state yet, but just emotionless calm wash over you as you resist and your body relaxes. She doesn't say anything. She begins to slowly back up, kind of going further into her house. Kira is still out of sight. You don't see any dragons currently around, which this room can't really fit a dragon. You don't see any wormlings. But that's going to be the end of her turn. And you can still talk in initiative. Just looks like the Aisling didn't choose to do so, at least not yet. That brings us to you, Durdan. What would you like to do?
Cool. So he assesses the situation. He understands now what he didn't understand before, which is that they're friends and compatriots. But he hasn't lied and has been boldly honest with her.
Mm-hmm.
He stands to prepare himself and not to be prone, but doesn't approach her. Um, and he holds his hands up, palm facing her, um, and he'll say, "Miss Ashland, as I've stated before, you could kill me, and there's nothing that I could do. Even if I could escape here, I wouldn't make it down the mountain with the prowess and dragons that this estate holds. But you're equally revered for your magic. And as far as I know, there's magic to discern truth, to read thoughts. All alternatives that could be had to show that what I'm saying has truth to it,
6 seconds.
and even yeah,
Short converse. You can use your action to talk and have it'll be a little bit longer, but
yeah. That was his action. He wasn't gonna do anything else.
go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
That is 18.
18. Okay.
Mhm.
Is that all? You're not moving, you're
Yeah,
not doing anything, just hands up, relaxed manner. Okay.
yeah.
Ashling's turn. She pauses, looks at you, and then there is a moment where the intensity doesn't fade, but it flickers for just a moment, and then you see that kind of cold stare return immediately after, before she goes, "If you wish to bear me no harm, then simply do not resist. I will have someone with the spell come immediately. One of my trusted friends." Go ahead and make me another wisdom saving throw.
Can he use his reaction to say a statement?
Sure.
Okay. Um, single sentence. Um, is this the right one? He'll say, so long as it's not a stale, she harmed your daughter, and he'll and he won't
Ah,
resist.
Jared, what are you doing?
Get it. Get it.
It's not good.
If I'm going to die, I'm gonna die an
Go
honest man. All right?
ahead.
It's just like,
Go ahead and make me a persuasion check with disadvantage.
gang.
Oh
That's
my
cool.
god.
Persuasion. That is
Just for
14.
reference, that was really good for you. For
Yeah.
reference, this is like you walking in to the CIA and being like, "Oh my god, I just found out a endless water generator that can turn salt water into fuel and the cure for cancer. Please go look at my inventions."
Hey. Also, if
Um,
need be, I do have I think like two more charges technically. Because both the times I've used it have failed.
you have how many?
Um, or like two more charges. Or I've used it twice. One time it worked. One time it did not. But the charges from Kipley's medallion. I know that
Oh.
Oh,
yeah, they don't go away if I fail. Correct. Or
The
the uses aren't.
Can you
uh
confirm a monkey, please? I don't have that memorized off the top of my head.
benefit.
I know you get 3 of those per day.
It says all expended uses. Well, the benefit can be used 3 times. I think,
Mm.
I don't know. Tells make it either wearer when the need is great. When the wearer fails an ability check to the roll, potentially turning the roll into a success. This benefit can be used up to 3 times.
Yeah, that's... The way is worded
I
is a little
know.
ambiguous.
Equal, because it's not a benefit if it fails, but at the same time, it's an expended. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting technical with it.
I'm a rule for now that once you attempt to try and use it, that uses a charge.
Okay.
You did only use 2 last time, so
Yeah.
you do still have 1. That's a saving throw, though.
The
Can it also do
talisman.
ability checks? Yes, it can do ability checks as
Yeah.
well. It's 2 different things. That's right.
Yeah.
There's the normal, just pact the talisman, and you have the invocation that allows him to do it for saving throws as well. Oh, keep that in mind. Yeah, you have the saving throw ones.
Yeah.
They're 2 separate. Are they 2 separate charges?
I think so. Yeah, because that benefit can be used 3 times as well.
You know, we we look at different things.
However you want to
The
call it.
only
I'm
thing
totally
that
fine
matters
with that.
right now is you have a charge that can be used on the D4. So go ahead and roll that because a 14 is not a success.
Gang, come on. Kipley believes in me, even if she doesn't know what's happening here. That's 4. That's as high as I could have gotten. Let's go.
It's not technically a success, but it's not technically a failure. It does expend the charge. To ability check wise are out. That was a reaction. She doesn't stop casting the spell, so go ahead and make me that wisdom saving throw.
Well, she told me to fail if I don't mean harm to her. That's why I wasn't going to
Okay, so you're not
resist it.
gonna resist.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
You want to kill me, Chief.
duper, you are paralyzed.
Yeah.
Under
Not
the
really
very
much I can
familiar
do.
effects of hold person.
Okay.
You, since if you are planning to not resist, I'm going to go ahead and describe what happens in the next series of events. But if you would like to, we can go ahead and stay in initiative for rolls if you want to try and resist it.
He's not gonna resist it unless the person that comes in to check is someone that's like a danger person to him.
Cool. Well, it only lasts. Whole person, I believe, only lasts for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I said they call for someone. So what happens in the minute is, you hear her call out in Draconic. Do you speak Draconic? I don't think so.
Of the languages that I know, nope.
Cool. So you just hear this like kind of guttural, Draconic-esque cry, and you hear dozens of claws scattering on stone. If New was here, he would have PTSD. And you see that she does actually have to refresh the spell on you. But there's no like downtime or like you were let go. It's the minute's over and she casts it again. And if you're just gonna keep failing, she's not conversing. She's not doing anything. She's just sitting waiting for something. And on the second minute, you hear rattling. And roughly about, from what you can see, because it's a limited perspective, because you're literally stuck in one place, staring in one direction, you can't rotate your neck. From what you can see down the one hallway that they're coming from, you see 6 wormlings, which take up about the actual size of the hallway itself. Like, multiple cannot squeeze through here at a time. It is single file line. And you see that they are dragging something in their mouths. And you see as they kind of claw their way up into the main floor, into the now common area that you're in, they kind of have to squeeze themselves up against the sides of the walls on furniture. You see one kind of crawls up onto the table that Kira was eating at, and they all just begin to spread out and fan in kind of like a U-shaped, a semicircle towards you. And you see the biggest one, the red wormling, which, as players you're familiar with, is the one that almost found you before. In its mouth is just this kind of large, almost clump of what looks like to be black metal. And you can see it's dragging this across the floor in a very familiar shape to you once it gets closer, as it is not just manacles, but you've seen Kung Fu Panda, right?
Yeah.
You know Tai Lung.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. This is a full body manacle. It is a series of manacles, excuse me. It clamps at your fingers. It clamps at your wrists. It goes up into gauntlets to restrain your arms from moving, wrapping around your waist, locking your knees specifically, and finally ending with these hardened kind of boot casings that are much, much larger than your actual feet, and you presume is probably to fit just about any normal humanoid size. And then, as that thought kind of goes through your head, it begins to shrink and tighten, wrapping your body into a rather painful embrace. And as does the rest of the chains, as you, without moving a muscle on your own, begin to lie down. As the chains begin to force your knees to lock, and you fall forward, and your arms outstretched in front of you, and you just kind of plank, falling prone to the ground. Go ahead and just make me a broad Arcana check. This is just a shot in the dark to see if what? Are you proficient in history?
No.
Cool. Broad Arcana check.
Natural 20, 21.
Woo!
Natural 20. Cool. So the reason I gave you this is because you worked as a bounty hunter for 9 years, and you see a thing or two in that kind of line of work, especially on Paradise Peak, where you get a lot of goodies that the outside world doesn't. One of your biggest kind of accomplishments was going after not just scavengers, pirates, or rogues, but there was specifically a crime boss in the area who, kind of like Vince, who was running an illegal drug trade, but was also an extraordinarily proficient caster, sorcerer. And you didn't request this, but they asked that you use this because it's rather tricky when someone is just kind of naturally strong, or they have magical items that make themselves stronger, but can also cast, because then they can just break out of normal chains, subtle cast, all these sort of things. And you've seen magical handcuffs that remove the ability to cast, easy peasy, but they can still be physically broken to an extent. This is called the Iron Maiden. These are ridiculously rare. You've only ever seen and used this once in your life for that very task. In terms of magical item rarity, they are legitimately rated very rare due to the actual items rating. not only do they make you restrained, but while within them, the Iron Maiden it becomes a sentient creature, meaning that any subtle effects that would in terms of like transposition, teleportation, anything that would just simply take you out of the chains doesn't work because the creature is taken with you. So even if someone tries to remotely through a friend casting a like dimension door or anything like that, it will fail because of creature capacity, and they will physically not be able to go anywhere. Same thing with vortex warp and similar spells of the sake. So this is, as soon as you see it, like, oh shit, like, and you already had intention of not going anywhere and trying to do this the good route, but now you know your strength. You are not strong enough to break out of these. Physically, do not have the capability to break out of these, at least not on your own. But yeah, that's what natural 20 will get you.
Okay, gotcha.
You see, as you get into chains, interestingly enough, Kira doesn't come out of her room. You don't know, out of not caring, whatever it might be, you don't see Kira. You expect to wait a bit longer, because normally if you're going to be summoning someone up to the height of this, like even with you sprinting up here, it took a long time. A normal trek to Dambala Estate is about 45 minutes to an hour, depending when and where you're coming from in the city. After about maybe 7 to 8 minutes, you hear footsteps coming down the hall. The right-hand hall that, again, can't really see. You're not under the effects of hold person, but you are also bound, restrained, and unable to move. So you can kind of just barely move your neck if you want to attempt to see. But you've just been kind of staring down this one hallway with a bunch of drakes looking at you all funny for about 8 minutes before you actually hear the footsteps. And heavy boots begin to fall coming in your direction. And you can see that Ashling, just kind of arms crossed, sitting on the table with one foot on the ground in a position that you are pretty familiar with. Looks very much like an animal ready to pounce at just a moment's notice. And you see walking into your vision, first out of the peripherals, a not so familiar face. At least one that you haven't personally had any contact with. You see a man in a large fur coat, kind of thick gray hair that runs back just to the cusp, behind the ears. These dark, intense brown eyes, elven ears that are a little short for being an elf. Stature roughly around what you probably presume to be about 6'5", 6'6". And as they lean down to meet your gaze, you can go ahead and make me a history check. See if Duradon would immediately recognize this man.
History. 13.
13? Cool. I'll say with a 13 doesn't immediately click. But you see he kind of leans down, stares at you real close. And the expression upon his face is completely null and void. You don't see a ounce of emotion. It is just a cold, uncaring stare. Not even a deep or calculating one. It is just like a blank slate is staring at you. You see as he taps on your head and begins to push his finger against your forehead, applying some pressure, which does hurt. Not to the point of causing damage necessarily, but does cause extreme uncomfortability. You see as this figure kind of lets this soft smile run across his lips before it vanishes just as quickly as it arrived. Your name is Duredon. Duredon the Savage Hunter, yes?
Yes, sir.
You have done a lot of good to this island in the time that you have worked on it, Duredon the Savage Hunter. We have not had the pleasure of meeting before, but I have heard of you. I like to keep up to date on what is happening on the island. Those that cause trouble, those that are trying to do well, those who are simply passing by, don't carry any interest but hard workers, people who are good at their jobs. Vessels that show promise, I occasionally take interest in. You were never the ones that were of interest, but I remember you had a interesting debut. A man of muscle chose to align himself with Evelyn Kroll. Unexpected turn of events, but after a while, it made sense. Looking for resources you did not have. On your mission to do what exactly?
Does he pose it as a question, or it's like just him thinking through it?
Go ahead, make me an insight check. No, I'm not gonna make you answer. With your passive insight, you can tell it's a question. And there is a pause afterwards where he looks at you. Not expectantly waiting, but just kind of, again, staring at you with that cold, dead stare.
The I didn't necessarily choose her to undermine things that I didn't have, but I came from a place where a lot of things were expected of me. And he was the first person that made deals, and I understood deals more than I understood anything else at that point in life. Terms, conditions, things that, of course, would always weigh in her favor, but he would never ask more than what the deal desired, and by that proxy, he would never expect more than what she made a deal for.
And is not what I asked of you, Doradon. I don't care why you made the deal with Evelyn Crow. I asked for what purpose? Did you do what you did for 9 years? What was the reason behind becoming a vassal? Choosing jobs that never took you far from home. If you would call this place your own.
It was a freedom of sorts, a punishment in other methods.
Punishment, I see. Do you think the world would be better if it changed the Redon?
Jordan takes a moment to contemplate. That's a very big philosophical question. And he's only really recently started to deal with like philosophy. Uh,
The
deeper
brain
than like
hurts.
it's not even like the brain. He's thought of philosophy. He understands what it is, but it's always kind of just been orders, and he completes it, and he drinks and celebrates, and then does it all over again. Um, but he will, after a pause, say he does. He does think the world would be better if it changed.
I thought you would say that. Many people in this world try to change it through various different means. Wars, politics, even vassals like yourselves. For individual missions, deals. Many people try and change the world to the Redon Savage Hunter. Many people often fail. Very simple reason. See, he nods his head towards Ashling, and she gives kind of a look of surprise and silently acknowledging, kind of like with a little nod. Gingerly gets up off of the table and begins to walk down one of the hallways, leaving the room. The Drake's staying. But you see, she does kind of look back over her shoulder somewhat curiously before quickly making her way out of the room. You and your friends have been very busy in the past days, weeks, months even. Well, I see the vision. The execution is where it matters. I really wish that this could have transpired differently. You were a very foolish man, the Redon the Savage Hunter. Speaking truth in the court of law may aid you in your trials, but some truths are not meant to be spoken. Especially by ears who will not believe. Or by events that should not have transpired.
leave me in a very uncomfortable position. I am somewhat of a protector of this island. I watch over my family. I watch over those who follow my teachings and the clan that lives underneath those teachings. I've gained power over the years and respect. It's followed. Did so very carefully. And I've made a lot of friends that way. Lots of powerful people in my place. Also wanted to change the world. And I've seen many horrible things on this island as well. From those same people who I deemed friend. I learned a millennia ago. It does not matter if you want to enact good on others. It simply matters of what you can do and continue living afterwards. You died and you left the island and everything would have been good. A war hero missing in action. To defending the island from an island of mimics. But then you had to come back and get sighted. And now people are asking questions. How did a pile of dust come back to life? I don't know what you did to anger Lorenzo, so... But you should not have come here. As unfortunately you will not leave here alive. I do not take pride in this. But if I have to choose my family or your life, well, it is a very simple dilemma, is it not? I am not artless. You are a man, a strong one. One who has taken care of others for a very long time. So, if there's anything that you would like me to do after your death, or any last words before, I will grant you that mercy.
If you are to take my life, and nothing can stop you, at least take my memories, view them, look at them, live with them.
Do you think this is the first time like this? The first time that a monarch has walked among our people? That Lorenzo has covered up a mishap? Your memories will not change anything, my son. I am sorry.
All the same, if this is the last request and you are to honor the last request, that's what I would have.
And what would you want me to do with these memories? If I could even transfer them. Merely view them if it is all that.
Simply view them, see what I saw, see what led to this moment, and then do what you must.
For what purpose? A sense of understanding.
Yes, actually. I spent my entire life killing people that maybe they didn't deserve it as a child because I didn't understand. And if I and to die anyway, no matter what I do, no matter what route I take, I at least want to be understood by the man that will eventually take my life.
I have heard many requests over the years.
Yeah.
This is a simple one. It's not a bad one.
He places a hand on the chains, and they fall, almost crawling off your body. You hear individual pops and clicks as your fingers are unbound, the wrists unclamped, the leg portions almost seeming to like walk and sliver away on their own, forming a pile onto the ground next to him. It's just almost like a disturbing centipede. Each individual parts of the chain just begin to crawl on their own, moving around.
Please sit. I would not want to do this in a disrespectful manner.
You'll see.
You sit up.
Begins to mumble.
What languages do you speak?
Duradon speaks Common, Sylvan, Elvish, Primordial, and and Orc.
Is a language that you do not recognize. And it takes a little bit. You're unsure of if it is a ritual spell. It doesn't take 10 minutes. But you're unsure of what kind of chant this is. After a few minutes, you see he stops and utters a simple phrase, waving his hand in front of your face. And if you would, for the sake of brevity, describe to me as the moments of Duradon's life flashes before his own eyes as you get a flash cut, essentially, of your entire life leading up until this point. What memories do you think you linger on the most?
If he knows that he's dying, I think it's kind of like a kind of good dream turned bad. He lingers on the start of the dream being his early memories of family, and the people that he cared about, and the skies or the lighting of the memory is very bright, very cheery. Um, but it is very short lived as it then transitions to a smash cut of a child in war not being strong enough to compete with the creatures that are there, but being downed men by other soldiers, clawing with hatred in their eyes and having to be the one to, place a dagger or blade to stop them from moving. It's him or them. Um, and this happens again and again, and it transitions the perspective from a child unsure with blade to a an adolescent to pretty much a preteen that is more sure, but that look of desperation, that beating of heart is all the same. He's always been scared to kill. He just kind of has had to do it. Um, then it is seeing him outclassed by his mentor, outclassed by the archdruid that by all means could have killed him. Um, Seeing that flash of recognition in the archdruid's eyes of what he was doing, and feeling as the blade is thrust in and he kills an archdruid, or helps him commit suicide, more accurately. Um, then it goes to um, the time of ceaselessly wandering the oceans, being picked up by a crew, um, fighting on the crew as for his transport, being dropped off, or rather escaping, um, making it to the shores of Paradise Peak, being brought in, um, rough raising until he was capable of actually going to the trial to become a vassal, feel a child picking the sponsor that he picked. And then the rest is just another smash cut of the various bounties that he did, um, doing good, but never really feeling true satisfaction beyond he's statistically done a good thing, and that should make him a good person. But flashes of like clean hands that are immediately bloodied as he goes back to those previous killings that he did, um, becoming numb to it. Then it kind of slows down the smash cut as he gets to this, his most recent mission with his sponsor, being told that he's invoking the right to summon him to take care of Kipling. The memories brighten again from like this hue of red to a memories of like whitish, like a dim white, as he experiences the time with the six. Um, he then sees the memory of Kipley coming to him, saying that he has a method, or everything that happened with the Monarch Initiative. Then it lingers on Kipley coming to him that he has a method to complete the objective that he's been sent here for. He agrees with almost zero hesitation. Um, then he goes through, and it goes at a snail pace, almost in the sense that flashing memories can, as he lingers on the details of what the monarch brought him to, the memories of Horima, the memories of what that means, of discovering who the monarch actually is, of drawing the cards, of going to the meeting where it was discovered what these sponsors were doing, and the disappointment he feels for potentially working for a corrupt system, and it all have been for naught anyway. Um, the scandal with the Damballa being, or the sponsor being involved in the murdering of Maeve. Then it continues to go back to the ship where he sees everything that he did, the people that he killed. Um, he once again lingers on the setup that um, he wasn't aware, or the Damballa wasn't aware of, that Percy had set them up for whatever express purpose. He shows the conflict that happened. He lingers on the last good deed that he did, which, or at least to him, which was giving Horma away for them to escape. Dying, being brought back, the monarch, surviving all the tale to then be killed again, and the conversation with the monarch, him having his fight, um, and everything to specifically this moment where he's asked, um, and he hears the mumbling, almost like a echo of the spell that allows all of this to be seen.
As it flashes through the good, the bad, evidence that proves exactly what you're saying is true, but as you can gauge, even with not great intelligence, but high enough wisdom, the truth that is experienced is already known. At least there is no major shock to what is found in your memories. After the
Okay,
roughly
thank God. I thought,
minute is over, opens his eyes. You see a shred of humanity as what appears to be a mix of almost disappointment crosses over his face.
I understand. It is truly a shame that you have to part in this way, Mr. Bashala. You've had a very hard life. Interesting. Well-earned life, but it is an unfortunate choice that you've made here today. You are a warrior, yes? One who is very proud,
yeah.
I can see.
So,
Would you prefer a painless death? Or would you like to earn it? I will give you that honor.
I learned. I lived by the blade. At some point, I was going to die by it.
I trust you are not going anywhere. Follow me.
And gets up, dusting off his pants from where he lied. And gestures for you to follow him as he walks deeper into the estate.
Um,
Do you follow?
yeah, no problem. He can't make it down. He can't make it down this mountain.
You can try and run if you want. As you follow
I can't
behind
outrun
him,
the dragon.
as you walk behind him, you can see following in almost like a convoy the wormlings begin to surround you. Not surround you, but bring up the rear in this little conga line you're forming. And you walk further into the estate. And as you do, we're going to hop over from that emotional roller coaster to another. As we hop down into the so I should be a session 20 minutes. Cool. As we hop back down into the underground, Mustang, Kipley, and Mammoth. Darkness is currently enveloping you. Cannot tell what direction you're walking in. You're being guided by your chains, dragged along in front of you. In your minds, no doubt is held about what is coming. Judgment in one form or another based off of your testimony that you have committed crimes. That the severity of what you have done is greater than what was initially thought. And that no outside force was involved in making you do this. What was probably just a few minutes of solitude feels like an eternity. Step after step. It feels almost like an endless hallway where you can't tell which way is up and which way is down at some point. A near feeling of vertigo begins to kick in. Funny enough, not for Mustang. you don't got a central nervous system. You do still feel the silence and the length of the hallway, but yeah, you don't got a feeling of nausea as much. You do feel an uncomfortability kind of settle into your mind, but nothing too much like what the others feel. After about, feels like could have been 15, 20 minutes, maybe even longer of just walking, you're seated. You are led to some kind of what you presume to either be a series of chairs or bench. Hoods are not removed, the chains remain on. And you can hear the sound of footsteps walking away from you. You don't hear a closing of a door. You don't hear any kind of keys or locks. It's just quiet. Silence fills the room. A minute, 2 minutes go by. To the best of your knowledge, you are left alone in wherever or whatever this is. Three of you do anything, say anything, or attempt anything.
You said it's like a cell?
You are unsure. Whatever it is, the hood is a thick enough fabric and dark enough material that you cannot see out of it. And you didn't hear anything close behind you. So you're unsure of what exactly you're in right now.
I don't think Kipley says anything. I think she's kind of resigned herself to what's about to happen. Just out of curiosity, because I don't think it's something I've ever defined with you. When someone uses a talisman, do you think it's something she could possibly feel?
You know when it's destroyed.
Okay.
I don't know necessarily if you know whether it's used or not.
Okay. Yeah, she probably just sits there and just says nothing. She doesn't know that anyone else is in there with her. She's just assumed
But you
she's
did
been...
hear a series of multiple rattling chains. So you can presume that you're not alone. You just can't confirm that. And you don't know if it's your friends or not because the hoods were put on before you left the cell. But you have a strong guess that you're not alone here.
Yeah.
Mustang? Anything?
This may be a futile effort, but is there any way he could like muster his eyes to burn a little hotter to maybe burn some holes in this sack?
You're gonna try and flame on the sack.
Burn
Yeah,
that
I
sack.
want to see where we are.
uh,
Just enough to sear some holes where his eyes would be. He doesn't want to like reduce the whole thing to ashes. He just, kind of like a scarecrow. They got two holes in the potato sack, sort of thing.
Thin the threads.
Yeah.
Thin the fibers.
Go ahead and just make me a raw constitution check with disadvantage.
Oh, okay.
'Cause you are trying to just use your body essentially, and its innate magical properties.
Okay. 11?
What was that?
An 11?
And then the one?
11? Does that pass?
11.
11?
Can
scared to
You're trying to squeeze what can't be squeezed and trying to emphasize on your eyes with what your normal control is, it's as natural as breathing, but underneath this magical effect that is supposed to suppress powers, which just ends up making you solid mostly, there's like a little singe, maybe, at best. But nothing is cut through, or at least nothing is burnt through enough where you can actually see. It is enough to create a tiniest little puff of smoke out from underneath the hood. Just kind of and begins to rise ever so slightly.
Well, great. I got a face fart.
You
Awesome.
absolutely got a face fart.
Okay. So
okay,
we're in chains, right?
Correct. And Kibble, you do smell smoke.
And like, is this hood like latched on? Is it just?
It is. You can feel it loosely. It's tied onto you because it has a tassel-like rope woven into the bottom of it, and it is pulled to tighten around the neck of the actual wearer. It is not fully taut, otherwise you'd most likely suffocate. But air is limited in its capacity. Luckily, 2 out of the 3 of you don't really need it. Mammoth, though, you start to worry a little bit.
And we.
Mustang is going to start clinking his spurs to kind of see if there's an echo, to see if he can get an estimation about how big this room is.
Make me a perception check.
Okay. Receive! He's perceiving nothing with an 8.
It's a really smart idea too.
You know what? I'm gonna you know, I'm actually not gonna use my inspiration. That feels like a
Yeah,
waste in tonight.
yeah.
So
You don't know how many rolls you're gonna be doing. You
yeah, I
earn
don't.
it.
And
Go ahead.
something might be like really important.
No,
So
use it on the Spurs, Ash.
no.
Uh, even with an 8, you can't tell how big of a space you're in. You can't really get a solid guess, but there is an echo.
Alright, so the acoustics in here are good. Great.
Have one hell of a hoedown before whatever is imminent happens. I don't know if you can actually type or not, Ryan. Don't bother if you can't. That makes sense. But if you can, is there anything that Mammoth would like to do?
I assume I have no idea that Mustang is smoking.
You can smell smoke, like for
But,
like a brief scent, but you can't really.
I don't know what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I don't know anything.
Cool. You do hear the click of the spurs, even underneath the hood, because you have a ridiculously high pass perception. But yeah, you notice, especially because you're human/humanoid, the hood is usually kind of tight for the child because halflings are a little more beefy than a normal race. Not necessarily beefy, or just plump. And your childlike features, even though they're small, the guard that put this on probably just did it fast. I wasn't really concerned about how tight they put it on. You can kind of feel like your breath, not necessarily like heaving or labored, but just kind of steadily going at a slow pace. Just kind of naturally preserve oxygen. But anyway, we'll sit in silence. Kipley.
Yeah.
For an undead who doesn't normally have the need to eat or really process foods, stomach's starting to feel really weird.
Huh?
Start to feel just this strange, not necessarily tingle, but in that same aspect of when you know you're gonna throw up and you can feel that kind of build going through your esophagus, kind of just feel a similar build welling in your stomach. At least in the general vicinity.
Like her instinct is to kind of breathe through it, but then she kind of pauses, remembers, I don't need to breathe, and she just kind of leans forward a bit. She just kind of tips forwards or like foreheads against the ground and just closes her eyes.
You go lean forward and you get halfway there before you hear king, and chains stop you from moving in your full range of movement. And you confirm you are in fact chained to whatever you're sitting on. And it's sturdy enough that it doesn't get knocked over when you go to lean over. You do make it about like into a halfway namaste pose. as you're almost in a bowing motion with your head kind of a little more crooked than usual, but you just feel that billowing a little bit. It begins to move up. You can feel it in your lungs, and it's almost like a tingling sensation now.
Ugh.
Kind of. It's weird because you don't need to breathe, and normally when you did anything that like if you choke on water, it's cough up whatever's in there, or your esophagus kind of close before anything would get anywhere near your lungs. But if this is the first feeling where you can actually tell, it feels like something is inside of them, which with any normal creature would probably make them pass out from just pure terror as they need to breathe, and something is preventing them either and or inside of that facility.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You stay kind of curled over.
Are you describing that there's something inside? Ew!
It feels like there's tingling.
Oh my god.
You don't know whether it is of something or if it is just the sensation. You don't feel, let me be clear, you don't feel like sustenance. You don't feel like, a shake weight is in there.
No, okay. Her mind's instantly going back to, like, Lorna Dane. She just kind of, her eyes flash open beneath the hood, and she just kind of sits there for a moment before she's just like, God damn it, and just lets her, she kind of leans into the
Perfect.
chain, but then allows herself to just kind of swing to the side, like just kind of letting herself roll off to the side to lean against the wall.
So what the other two of you hear is, instead of the full goddamn it, you hear, God, and this rush of what you presumed to be like either liquid or something, is just this torrent of thick black smoke just begins to almost rush out of your mouth and nostrils and just begins to pour out from underneath the hood and mask and just settle slowly out in front of you. It is beyond disturbing, and you can feel it exit you in like the worst way possible. You've been drunk before. You've thrown up, but this doesn't feel like that. This feels like an exorcism times 10. And as it flows out of your mouth, it only takes a couple of seconds, but as it finishes and you kind of gasp for air, there is for your already cold undead body, a little bit of frost begins to build, starting from around your sternum, running up your esophagus and up to your mouth. And from underneath the hood, you can just barely see in this kind of curled over position, you can just barely see the outline of yourself. And as you lean to the side, you can see the smoke kind of curling and moving along the stone floor. And all of you here. Hello, sister. When I said we should speak and visit each other more often, this is not what I had in mind. Is this like an eyes wide shut sort of situation? Should I go? Or...
No.
I mean, I don't know what's going on here, but this seems really weird.
You can't. Really? Really? I'm in fucking chains, Ezrin.
I don't know what you're into, alright, sis? I don't judge. I listen, I don't judge.
When have I ever what?
I guess I see and I don't judge. But,
Are you here to get... Oh, fuck it. I'm just glad you're here.
I have no idea. I was at rest, and in my normal place, I just kind of got dragged out.
Dragged
I
out.
assumed you called me. Did you not?
This does not sound like she's used to hearing him, is that correct? Like, is this like a physical sound she's hearing from him now, like voice-wise?
I mean, he's like wispy-esque when you see him
Okay.
in the dream world slash the river, but yeah, definitely sounds like it has some sort of sustenance. You don't hear vocal cords or anything. You don't hear like
It's not like echoing
a deep
around the
vibration.
room or anything?
No.
Okay.
It's still kind of faint too. It's just I'm not gonna be talking like this all night.
I've missed you so much. I've really gotten into the shit of it all.
Yeah, hi. Also, hi, Kipley's friends. I don't think we've met.
What? What?
Oh, are these your friends, or are these just two random hooded people next to you?
She's like tries to
No,
start
we're
kicking
friends.
around. Mommy? Is Mustang there?
I don't know who that is. Is anyone by the name of Mustang here?
Mustang stops clinking his spurs.
Were you doing it the entire time?
Yeah, he was.
Just been a background of clinking while you're
Oh,
filling
he's
up.
very frustrated right now, so he's letting off a little steam, but he stops when someone says his name.
Are you all right?
Are you asking me, or are you asking your friend?
The physical ones.
Physical ones, are you alright?
Mhm.
You know, I'll let
Yeah.
Mammoth do all the talking because he's really good at that.
Oh.
I-
Oh, you sound pissed.
Yeah, what makes you think that?
Oh, you're
And he goes
mad
back to
at
tapping
me.
his spurs.
You're mad at me, aren't you?
I am not mad at you. I am just mad at this situation.
Accidentally spoke too many words.
Oh, it's okay. It happens.
Oof, it seems like I came at a really rough time.
Ezrin.
Do you want me like
Ezrin,
come
no, wait,
back
wait.
later, or?
Can you guys hear him?
Can we?
Yeah, I don't know.
DM?
Strangely enough, the voice that was only in Kipley's head before is currently audible to everyone in the nearby vicinity.
Yeah, we can. You said sister? He's speaking to the voice.
Yeah, that's Kipley. It's my sister. I don't
You've
think
got
we've
siblings?
had the pleasure of meeting before. I'm Ezrin.
Yeah, this is my brother Ezrin.
Bad
Ezrin,
luck
this
must
is
run in the family.
Mustang and Mammoth.
Oh, it's nice to meet both of you. Are you in trouble right now?
Yes.
What did you do? This is like
Yeah.
way more advanced than anything that we saw.
Lorna Dane kind of... Well, she
I'm a
did
little bit behind on the names.
the
You don't
Monarch
have
of
to tell me.
Mystery. Yeah. I
Mystery.
think bad things happened. We got kind of dragged into shit and then betrayed by someone that I thought we could somewhat trust, but clearly not. And it just went back and forth, and yeah. Now we're down here, and there's quite a few powerhouses on Paradise Peak that really want us dead, and so here we are.
All right. Whew. I was thinking the next time we saw each other, we could have like a nice like conversation, or like, maybe like do a fun activity.
Yeah.
And instead, you are in some sort of facility, doing major crimes by a mystery woman.
It.
Uh,
I mean,
okay.
yeah. They're calling it
Um,
crimes. It was. They, I,
I'm not the one. Listen, you don't need to do that with me, all right? I just don't know if I can get you out of here.
that's all right.
Hold on.
I'm just happy to hear you.
And you see, you feel a tug on the tassel that loosens and tightens the hood, and it loosens. And yeah, and he just chokes you to death and you die. Game over. He takes it, and you watch as the hood falls off, is pulled slightly off, and then just falls off the rest of the way. And you're a little disappointed
Oh.
as you just see the first smoky visage that you saw of your brother many, many, many months ago when he visited you on that rooftop. It's not a full physical form. Barely a form at all. Doesn't even have his full face. But you do see there is a kind of behind the shadowy, darkened visage, a glimpse of white shines into a smile as he gazes at you, actually making eye contact now. Hi, sister. You look like shit.
I love you. I've missed you so much.
That's a rare answer when I give that first. You know what? I'm not gonna complain.
I know I look like shit.
And he goes over and undoes Mustangs and Mammoths as well, so you can all now see the room that you're in. And Mustang, you would have learned this if you rolled a little bit higher. This is massive. This is roughly about a. Excuse me. Roughly about a cough over. Is roughly about 100 feet in width, and you cannot see the end of whatever this is. It is a long tunnel.
Oh boy.
The ceiling about 30-ish feet tall. It goes up a extent, and it just kind of goes out. It is close to pitch black in here. The only light that comes into the room, is coming from behind you, from we presume to be either some sort of torch or magical firelight that's just barely illuminating the room so that you can see each other. But past that, it is darkness. Your dark vision does not extend far enough to see the end of this room.
Right. Good to see all of you. Yeah, I don't know how long we have before they come back down here, if they're going to come at all. I assume this is a holding ground, but what did they say to you or?
You just hear a little ting, ting from behind. As you see the shadowy form of Ezran float out from behind, where he just took the head off of Mammoth and goes back over to Kipley and starts trying to jam his finger into the lock. It is not very successful.
Ooh. That's pretty, yeah.
No, you guys can continue your conversation. I'm just going to be doing this in the background. I'm not really a prime locksmith at the moment, as I am lacking fingers.
Well,
I will try my best.
and I think the magical, if I remember correctly.
I'm sure magical manacles still need a key.
Yeah.
Maybe there's one around. Hold on. He just begins to kind of glide, and you watch as very, very familiarly, at least the one of you, begins to float above the ground, and just peeks his head out into the corridor. It looks tentatively back at Kifley, and then just drifts out of sight without making a sound.
That's
While he's gone, do you guys do anything? So you're not free of any of your binds, but you can at least see each other and talk without hearing.
No, if no one talks to him, Mustang is going to go back to brooding, tapping his purse.
Right. Well, I would like to take this moment just to, express how very sorry I am that you all ended up here. And I hope we get out, but, in case we don't, thank you for everything. I know I've been
I
difficult.
think maybe this one's on me.
On you? What do you mean?
Yeah. I told them about the heralds.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't take it too badly. I pretty much spilled the beans about everything.
Yeah, but we weren't even in trouble.
Oh. I think we've been in trouble for a while now. I think the path we're on doesn't coincide with what some of these more powerful people are trying to do. This is kind of the inevitable end, right? Unless we just chose to do nothing. Which I suppose is an option. Don't feel too bad, Mammoth.
I don't know. I don't think I want to make decisions anymore.
I think you're making great decisions. Just because it doesn't have the best outcome doesn't mean it wasn't right.
You can almost hear stone grinding on stone as Mustang turns his head to look at Kipley deadpan.
Do you know the
Did you
stone
hear
slab
yourself?
sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what my mind.
Do you hear yourself right now, Kipley?
Her ears kind of flatten back a bit as she turns and looks to Mustang. Yes? Do you?
Yes, I am. That sounds like a bunch of nonsense. Some decisions are bad decisions.
Well, of
Because the
course.
outcome isn't good. That's like the definition of a bad decision.
No, it's not. We can't control the outcome of every decision. There's so many other variables that work into an outcome, but we could choose to do the right thing, but that doesn't mean the outcome's doesn't mean we're gonna win. Everything could be
Listen.
stacked against us.
That might all be well and true, but it doesn't change the fact that we've all ended up in this bottomless, endless stone pit. And I'd say we made some pretty bad decisions leading up to this. I mean, confessing to murder, committing acts of terrorism, not telling anyone what we're getting up to, taking jobs under the table. That all sounds like some pretty bad decisions to me.
Well, I didn't say they were all good decisions. We're not perfect.
Mustang just puts his head in his hands. Or, well, I guess he can't, but he just hangs his head. He's like, oh my god, you two are about as useful as a denim tap shoe.
You go to lean down, you just ching. The chains stop you again as your hands get about halfway up to your head.
And do we even know where this brother guy of yours went? Do we have any way to keep track of him? He's kind of our only hope.
His name is Ezrin.
Ezrin, right. Sorry, it didn't make it into long term, given my current predicament.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be here a while, maybe learn the name. He could very well be your savior.
About that time, you don't hear a noise necessarily as he floats, but there's a I couldn't find anything.
That's okay.
I looked around. There's no keys. There's a really long hallway, and I saw there was some guards roughly about like 60ish, maybe like 90 feet away. I think they're behind some sort of door. I couldn't really get closer because I thought they would see me. That's about it. I can scratch at the chains if you want, or
No, it's okay.
I don't know what else really to do.
You don't have to do anything. I'm just glad you're here.
I mean, the sentiment is appreciated, but I feel like I've been summoned, and I'm
Were
useless.
you?
Well, I can't appear on my own.
Wait, you're saying I summoned you?
I didn't summon myself.
But she kind of looks at the chains for a minute and rattles them. How? I thought these were like suppressing shit.
I don't know. Don't ask me. I just showed up.
Ooh. Can either of you do anything? Do either of you have your magic at all?
I don't know.
I most certainly do not, but if any of us do, it looks like it's gonna be you. Why don't you try casting something else?
Um. I don't think I can. Everything else requires me to be able to use my
Also remember, you don't
hands.
have your arcane focus.
Yeah. I don't think I can. Yeah, no, I'm pretty useless. Sorry if I gave all of you a little bit of hope. Yeah, we might be here a while. But it's good to see you, Ezrin.
Kind of fucked up. I was, I was hoping I could do something, but I have to
You
just kind of
have.
sit here with
You
and
have.
shame. I really don't think I did.
No, I was not in a good place. I'm so happy to see you.
Sure. Glad to hear I can be of service. So what you been up to? It's
Pretty much just sitting around here. People digging through my head.
been on any interesting vacations recently, or you seen anything cool?
I don't know if you could define it as cool. Well, okay, yeah, it was cool stuff, but it was also really bad things. Things I'd rather hadn't happened.
Sounds like our luck.
Yeah. Oh, I almost drowned at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh,
Yeah. But things happen.
things happen.
Is she
Can you drown?
pissed?
Hmm?
Is she pissed off?
Who?
You know.
Oh. Oh yeah. She's been really quiet.
Okay.
She doesn't really like talk to me a lot. I just kind of just sit in the river,
Yeah.
so I can't really get out unless I'm summoned. So, she hasn't said anything to me. Have you said anything to you?
No.
Huh?
No, she kind of warned me of this exact situation, and it kind of happened anyways, and just,
At least she made an effort.
Thank you.
I said at least she did, not
Oh.
you. You got yourself into this mess, you dumbass.
Okay.
You're a
Okay.
lovable dumbass, but you're still, you got yourself into this position.
Well, you weren't here, so you can't comment on it.
And, I'm not judging you. I'm just,
It kind of feels
Judging
like you
you.
are.
People make mistakes. People can be dumb.
I like you, Ezrin.
Thank you. I haven't really heard you talk much, but you seem like you could be nice.
Yeah, I should probably stay silent then.
Okay. Oh, okay. Is this all your friends?
No.
Didn't you have more last time?
Yeah. Rick just got taken by heralds, but he was freed by people of, Paradise Peak. And then there was, Maeve, she got killed and dragged to hell. And then there was Doradon and Reese. Reese,
You didn't give more.
yeah.
They're just not here. Elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, do you want me to try and kill somebody to get you out of here, or if one of the guards has a key or something? I don't really feel right just letting you be here.
Yeah, but also don't feel right about killing the guards.
Ugh.
What?
I think I could try and, I don't know, scare them or something. But then they would know I'm here.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know what to do.
But it's a stressful situation. And the smoke just kind of plops onto the ground.
Yeah.
It doesn't like sit, but it just kind of like collects in like a puddle. You see the little face just kind of poking out of the top of it. Is there anything you want? Do you want me to like go and check in that direction? And he kind of gestures towards the darkness that is in front of you.
I mean, you can if you want. I don't know it's down there. I don't know what this place is, and I'd be really freaked out about you getting, I don't know, sucked into something. It freaks me out.
It just seems like a hole. Or a tunnel or something. Or just a really long, like, hallway or something. I don't know.
I just can't imagine it is. I mean, it might be a hallway. I just don't.
I mean, well, it goes for over 120 feet, so it's pretty long.
I mean, you can check it out if you want. I just kind of feel like we're high-profile criminals at this point. I can't see them putting us somewhere that would be easily escapable.
I can, better check it out than just sit here and do nothing, right? Unless you have any ideas you'd like me to attempt, Mr. Mustang?
Mustang looks like he's been holding it in this entire time. And he finally, when someone says his name, he's like, "Ugh." You know, if you don't want to go kill someone, definitely go down that hallway, because Kipley, you're looking at this all wrong. We got someone down here who's on our side, a friend who's willing to help us that isn't in chains. We cannot waste this. So if it's not killing guards and getting keys, it's going down that hallway.
I can do that. That's alright. I'll be... hold on. It just begins to drift out into the darkness. Because of his already shadowy complexion, despite you having dark vision, he just vanishes. After about like 30-ish feet, he just blends into the background. And Ezrin's just gone. You're left alone in that silence.
Kipley's gaze just kind of stuck on where Ezrin left. He better not die.
I mean, can he? Seems like he's not exactly corporeal.
You're made of smoke.
Yeah,
Can you die?
I've never tried it. Well,
Then what
actually,
are you
I must
bitching
have
about?
once. What do you mean, what am I bitching about? I can still feel pain.
Can you just turn into smoke? Whatever you
Not
want.
with these chains. I wish. This problem would not be a problem if that was the case. But it seems as in terms of conversation, at this point, all we have at our disposal is pointless conjecture. So, as you said, we might be down here a while. So, if you're feeling like you're in a talking mood, what's the story with you and Ezra? I didn't know Ghost ran in your family.
He's not a ghost.
Oh, well, what is he then?
He's... I don't know. He's still my brother.
I didn't say he wasn't.
He's
Must-
a part of me.
Mustang, you can actually. Sorry to interrupt. You can go ahead and make me a either a religion or arcana check.
Yeah. Let's go. He really wouldn't know. They're both bad. Okay, we're just going religion. 15.
15? Cool.
Yeah.
You actually have an inkling of what you don't know what the original form he is, or was, but you know, you've been mistaken for so many different creatures in your time, that you've actually come to learn a few other smoky and or shadowy based forms and life forms, excuse me. Just based off of what you know of Kibli being a caster, and certain spells and levels of what they're around, you actually have a pretty decent guess as to what he might be, at least right now. His original race and body, fuck if you know. You can at least recognize the spell of what might be a shadow spawn. Because you have yourself have been mistaken for a shadow spawn before. Many people have thought you were a summon.
Oh, no. And then narrows his eyes, looking between where he disappeared and at Kipley. But he refrains from putting a label on it, since it seems like something Kipley might be allergic to. Other than brother.
Sorry for interrupting, Kibli.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
He's just always with me.
Okay, I think I understand that, he says, nodding along, having had this realization. How is he with you, usually? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we've ever met before, nor have you mentioned him.
I feel like I've said his name multiple times. But
Not around me, you haven't.
he's kind of a part of me. Kind of like, our souls are like intertwined or fused together to a degree.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Was it always like that? Was he ever...
Oh no, we're twins actually, and he used to be able to. He was his own person at one time. God, that was so long ago.
How long?
God, years. Like, we were kids. But, things happen. She starts to look really uncomfortable. She kind of shifts a bit.
Hey, I'm not going to press you for details. I was just curious. You don't have to share anything you don't want.
No, I'm not hiding anything. Not from you all. I just... You know... Oh, wait, actually, he's not here. I could talk about it as much as I want. Yeah, so... There was this thing that happened when we were kids, with, you know, our tribe. They were, like, dying off and everything, and my parents, and it was like this ritual thing. They were trying, you know, old ritual, and they were trying to save what was left of our clan, and, you know, they didn't really know who they were reaching out to or calling out to, and it didn't go well. But it kind of... They essentially sacrificed Ezrin, and it, like, fused our souls together, and I think it was supposed to make the tribe stronger, but it... I don't know, it didn't feel right. It never really has since, but he gets a little emotional sometimes. It's not his fault. It's just old memories, you know, they kind of pop up, and it's not like he has control over some of his reactions. Things just happen.
Like what?
Well, you know, just outbursts of random, you know, like power. People get hurt sometimes, and it's not his fault. But yeah, don't bring it up if he comes back.
You don't think that an outburst of power might be what we need right now?
No. No, it's... You don't understand. It's not controllable. Like, people die. A lot of people die.
People tend to do that.
I can't risk the lives of those up top. I have people I care about up there.
I see. You mean like calamity level outburst of power?
No. She's...
Not calamity as an adjective, not as a noun.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just, you know, it's a decent amount.
Yeah, I suppose it would be better to measure twice in this sort of situation.
Yeah.
Might be a little too much.
I definitely couldn't assure that you all would come out of it. In fact, I'm fairly certain you wouldn't.
I appreciate you being straight up about it. Okay, that idea is out. Alright.
Yes.
Did your tribe... Did it make them stronger? Or did it just end with you feeling strange? Forever?
I think it was supposed to make the tribe stronger with the blessing of one that could bring extra. Like sacrificing two to make one stronger to bring a blessing to the tribe. Something went wrong during the ritual. I couldn't even tell you. It just... I don't know what happened to the tribe. At least not all of them. I left. And...
Ah,
yeah. But we weren't doing great. Last I knew, they would... It was not good. They were dying off.
now, is this a sensitive subject for you? Because I'd like to ask, but I don't want to, seeing as you are physically being held hostage here with me, I don't want to push my luck.
No. You can ask whatever you want. Why would I need to hold back now?
Yeah, good point. I suppose if there's a time for a confessional, it's now. Well, Kipley, you're very different from anyone that I have ever met, and as Ezrin put it is a very charming, lovable, dumbass sort of way. And
Okay.
listen, it's not a bad thing to be a dumbass. I'm a dumbass too, and I love myself. I don't know about that actually, but I like you.
You do?
Of course.
Really?
Yes.
I honestly just thought you'd... Okay. Oh, okay. What?
Listen, if I didn't like you, you'd really know.
Oh, all right. That's good to know.
I do like you, Kipley. I like you a lot. And that's why I thought I'd have more time to, get to know everyone and get to open up at our own pace. But obviously, I was wrong. So, if we are to die down here in this hole, I suppose I do not want to go out with any regrets. And I would regret not getting to know all of you better.
So does that mean you're going to tell me how you got to be all smoky?
I would if I could, but I don't know. I woke up like this one day, and it's been like this ever since. Good old Mustang.
You have no idea how... Like you were just born like this?
Well, I wasn't born. I do not know the warmth and comfort of a womb. I just
Ew.
appeared. I think more likely to say I was made.
Interesting. And you really don't remember anything prior to being made?
Sometimes I have dreams, and they feel like they might have been alive at one point, but it's easier to just call them dreams. back on track, and he kind of mimics
Mm.
pulling on the reins of a cart as if he's driving. Well, I guess he can't really do that because he's chained up. So he just kind of wiggles his chained arms around
Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
like a worm.
It rattles.
Your tribe, what was it like living with them before? Or was tragedy all you knew?
No, we were mostly. Well, I mean. Yeah, no, it was a lot of starvation and, you know, disease and pain and. But I was also a kid. We were like kids, so, you know, through kids' eyes, we're just kind of like. You still manage to find fun things here and there.
I think my life before was similar. I remember maybe a big family and trying to take care of them. There's not enough to go around. Where did you guys stay? On a dweller? On an island?
Yeah, on a dweller.
Oh, which one?
Megan desperately clicking for Google Docs.
Yep.
I believe it was called the Sinking Hope.
Sinking Hope.
Wow, that's really on the nose, isn't it?
Well, okay, it used to be called Hope Sales,
I see.
but
Okay.
then, you know, one of the, whatever you call it, pulled out. One of the alliances pulled out, and the citizens that lived there wound up changing the banner to Sinking Hope. Yeah, it's pretty depressing, I guess.
Do you mean one of the brotherhoods?
Yeah.
Odd. Usually they don't forfeit their assets so readily.
Well. She shrugs. So, visions of family.
Couldn't tell you much more than what I did about my past life, but you know, I've lived a very long life as Mustang.
What's the favorite thing you've ever done?
Oh boy. Long time ago, there was this one island that was probably kind of a lot like Sinking Hope. It was abandoned by the Floral Alliance, pretty much. I didn't know if they officially pulled out of there or not, but while I was there, I met someone. Her name was Jimena. She kind of, you know, I had a mom and stuff, but she really showed me what it meant to be a person. And we fell in love. She was my wife. I took care of her kid with her for a long time. And I think that was the happiest I've ever been.
That's really sweet. Jimena?
Jimena. Jimena de Azo. She was something.
And what was the child?
Enola.
Enola. What happened to him?
See, the kind of the happy smile look in his eyes fades. Well, I guess you could say I happened. Dry Lake, it wasn't kind to people like us, people who were awoken. And Jimena, she wasn't awoken, but her daughter was. And obviously, so am I. So we had to live someplace far, far away from all the towns. But eventually, you do run out of supplies and you need to go into town for stuff. And when I went into town, I think they must have recognized her cart, her horses, something. But townsfolk got pretty mad that there was any sign of her in the town. It was some kind of ill omen. And eventually, from there, they found out where we lived, started harassing us. And it reached a point where I couldn't take it anymore. And she begged me to stay, said that they needed me there. But I was sick of it, and I wanted to do things my way. So I left. And I went to the town, looking for revenge, yada yada, all the foolish things you do when you're young. But by the time I got back, they'd burned our house down with her inside, Enola too.
That is sad.
It was. I was angry for a really long time. I became a lot like the people that I hated so much.
And what happened to those that burned the house down?
I killed him! Right there and then. Didn't make me feel any better, though.
Yeah.
Mena and Enola were still dead at the end of the day, and now there's however many wives and husbands and kids that don't have their father, mother, significant other.
I'm sorry you went through that.
I think I had to. Yeah, everything seems to happen for a reason, and what will be, will be. And I wouldn't be the person I was without her. She gave me my name, you know?
About this time, for what, simultaneously almost, that you realize you've been talking for quite a while. Ezrin has not returned.
Oh boy.
About the same time, at Mustang and Mammoth. Sorry, Kipling. Mustang and Mammoth. You should begin to hear something. This almost dull rumble, just almost like 1,000 like rolling stones falling over each other. It begins to get louder and louder until eventually the cavern that you're in begins to shake. And you hear the click of a iron door and the heavy plated footsteps of guards approaching. See, they look at you confused as appears to be a pair of not guards that you've seen so far. They're in a completely different set of armor, opposed to the silvers and kind of a mixture between like silver, red, and gold for what is normally used on Paradise Peak. This is a bluish tone to the armor. For reference, not unlike what Pearl's updated armor looked like way back when.
Hmm.
And you see they go, "Oh, let your hoods off. Why are you supposed to be hooded? Were they hooded?" And you see the 3 hoods on the floor. And goes, "You must not put them on very fucking tight because they're on the fucking floor. Pick them up." The other one goes, "Oh, sorry." Runs over and re-hoods all 3 of you, pulling the strings a little tighter than they were before. In the first guard that talked came and goes, "Alright, it's not no funny business between the 3 of you. We have a special surprise for you. Normally there's a bit more hish-hash, but we were told you won't be expeditiously retreating from this island to your new lovely home. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a rough ride, gentlemen and lady. So try and don't make any fuss, or we're going to have some serious problems. I was told to bring you there alive, but if you make too much trouble,
You'll
no
bring us
promises."
there dead.
I mean, you know, they just said alive. They didn't say exactly what condition.
Where are
Many
we going?
dangerous things can happen. You, my lovely lady and gents, 3 have the wonderful honor and privilege of seeing the wall up close and personal. And you
Oh.
hear the rumbling is almost taking up your entire head. All of your thoughts are just drowned out by this noise, and the ground itself is shaking to almost a earthquake level magnitude before it stops, and you just hear this chittering noise, series of chittering noises, the rapping of what sounds like dozens, hundreds, tiny little scrapes moving around the room. Mustang.
Yes.
After they put the hood back on you and kind of did so in a violent manner, your smoke does touch the actual cloth of the material as it's pressed up against you rather than just being put over you because it was done hastily. And it's singed just enough, ever so slightly, that you can catch a glimpse outwards. And you can't make out the entirety of the body, but you just see the head in roughly 100-foot wide space, about 60 feet. Black, almost skeleton-like features that would normally be mistaken for bone, but in the dim lighting that is shining from the open doorway, can make out what looks like instead carapace. The burning eyes, multiple, and it is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little more than a dozen red dots peer back at you from the darkness. And it illuminates the space a little more so you can see a hint of what is behind this creature. So you guys, alright, all aboard, and please keep your hands and legs tucked in at all times throughout the ride. And the chairs that you're in right now, which are wooden chairs. Um, they take the chains that are currently tied to the sides of them and the legs that are holding you to them, uh, and undo them and manacle the three of you together, taking the chains that were bolted down to the actual chairs, and they take a metal stake, put it through the center of the three, and screw in looks like a metal bolt at the bottom, sealing it tight. So all three of you are now bound by one singular chain, which is the mix of all three, of course. And they begin to lead you up to this creature. And you see as it moves and almost responding to their approach, you hear that skittering again, and this time you are certain whatever this thing is, it is massive. And it leans down, allowing them to climb up into its back as they haul the three of you on top of it. There's this almost saddle-like contraption. There's almost like some sort of house-esque structure. It doesn't have roof or walls, but it's a small dome on top of this creature's back. It's almost built into the carapace itself. It looks like it's roughly big enough to maybe fit about 5 or so people. They put you free in the center of it, and they take the bolt that is holding your chains together, and they stick it into the side of the contraption and seal it by placing this almost like metal grate looking like a gate almost over it. It's not fully closed, but it looks like it is meant to be a sealing contraption of sorts. You begin to feel the rumble as hundreds on hundreds of tiny legs begin to all at once rapidly maneuver, turning backwards, and you can't really see it too much, but just to give you a slight idea of what you actually might be on. Post in-game visuals. As
Oh my goodness.
your ride to the wall begins to take off. Shrouded, go back to you. Moving through the well-lit walls, the interior of the Dambala estate. You follow this man, which you could have attempted to try and run from, but decided you did all you could. And he offered you either quick death or a potential warrior's death if that's what you wish. You decided to live up to your reputation, your name, and what self-respect you have for you. Or have left for yourself, excuse me. And continue deeper into the estate. Never having been inside is kind of like a maze. You see there's countless hallways leading into all different sorts of corridors, rooms, further hallways. And he keeps bringing you further and further down till he gets to this landing. And off to the right, there's just this large space of darkness. They're kind of similar in description to what the rest of the group just faced. Although this one, far more expansive. For your rough estimate, it would be similar to that of a football stadium. And as players, you're familiar with this space. It's Shrouded, completely in the dark. Literally, because it's also no lighting in here. He makes his way inside. You follow. And at this point, the wormlings are keeping about 30-ish foot distance from you, not holding too close as they don't feel the need to. And Ashling is nowhere in sight. You assume he either excused her fully, or she's either in some part of the estate that is not here, but it's just the two of you, as far as humanoids go. And he leads you out into this space, and you can see, as he does, he murmurs a incantation and releases this tiny mote up into the air above you, and you watch as it begins to grow expansively. 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40, 50, 60. Roughly about 100 feet in this massive dome-like expansion. A brilliant golden light just begins to brighten the fully dark space. And you can see on the sides of the walls, built into small crevices, large outcroppings, and some just outright on the floor itself, dozens of what looks like to be piles of various different trinkets. You can see mounds of gold. You can see clumps of various different suits of armor. You see some bones. Various different, from what you can guess, to be hordes. Continues far past the dim light that is provided. And out roughly about maybe like 600-ish feet in front of you, there is an opening that leads out to the mountainside. It's a steep cliff's edge. You don't actually see anything downwards except for the actual sky in the background, excuse me. He walks up and gestures out in the space around him.
If you would like to have a warrior's death, I think this is no better place. There is no better place than this. This is the den of the Dambalas, a recently very active place.
And he kind of leans down, and you can see the floor of this near the entrance is completely smooth. It looks like this has been manually either mined out through magical and or manual means. But the further you go out, you see countless small craters, impacts, large marks that you would recognize from a great weapon, like a great sword, or some kind of large blade. And it looks like some sort of major fight between, you could guess, dozens, maybe even a few dozen soldiers took place here.
In the past couple of months, I fought a very powerful foe here. Perhaps you're familiar. Her name was Calamity. I think your group has crossed her path at least once.
We have.
Mm. She was an interesting creature. I had high hopes for her. Otherworldly beings always have extraordinary strength, whether in willpower, physical, or otherwise. But she was a disappointment. Broke so soon. So I will ask you this, Duradon. How would you like to die? With my hand tied behind my back, or in the same manner in which she did? Quickly, brutally, and with nothing held back.
You'd wound my honor if you held back.
I'll be frank with you. A fight is considered a fight because there is a chance that one person will die. Injury is all but confirmed, but I am afraid that if I don't hold back, you will feel disheartened in your last moments. I would not wish to bring that shame to your family's line.
I've already brought shame enough to my family. If you saw my memories, then you should know my actions led them to the control of one of the monarchs.
I would not consider that a shameful act. A shameful act of gambling your life away, maybe, but do you not see what you did for your family? They may be blind in the way that a soul that has a body that has no proper soul within is, but you have given them a second chance. They spent their entire lives on that island, and now they are free to wander the world. Sure, under the control under the Frost Monarch, it is understandable, but they can be saved. Partially. Some too far gone, died too soon, or have been dead too long for the soul to be willing, but I am sure there is a few amongst their ranks that could be properly revived with the right rituals. You don't have to be the last of your bloodline, if, you know. You were around long enough to see that through. I apologize if I have insulted you by telling you this before our battle.
No, I I would be lying to say that I don't want to live, but recent developments have shown me that life and death, I feared both of them equally. It's time for me to fear neither. In the world that I am to if in the end understanding still doesn't mean anything, then maybe this isn't a world that I'm meant to live in. But I guess we shall see.
Let me leave you with one last piece of parting advice that could potentially be useful in your afterlife. Many warriors in their lives dance on the edge of death. If you have seen it, lived around it, delivered others to it, they grow dull. They do not, at least they say, they do not fear it. Build up this bravado that they call courage, fearlessness. But in my long life, I've come to learn time and time again there is no shameful act in fearing death. Something that comes for us all, no matter if you are man, god, monarch. Something, someone will eventually kill you. Fear of that death, that is what keeps you living. That's what makes you appreciate what you had in life. What you have built up so far. A man who has just started this mission to try and better the world. To try and bring this Kipli to her final goal of Vinegar. If I were you, I would fear death. For you have ambitions. Many unseen. Many unfinished. You can inspire someone that is of your persuasion. But this is just the ramblings of an old man. We, however, have come for a different reason, besides just talk. Have you prepared yourself?
Duradon will summon his version of the Golden Glaive. Um,
Blood begins to slowly leak out. Because you don't have any current wounds, it once again emerges from the multitude of scars running along your body, slowly beginning to form into that rusty like golden glaive, as it is not gold. It is mainly composed of the iron within your blood, but mimicking that color by trying to change as much as humanly possible. Slowly extending outward, the long shaft forms the almost scythe-like end of the blade, going out about another 2 to 3 feet. You can see he raises an eyebrow as you do.
Impressive. I've not known many men who can make themselves their own weapon. Besides casters, of course.
it was a learned family secret.
A proud heirloom.
We
You've not
tried
used
to
it
make it.
many times
Say,
before.
no, I have not.
I will allow you the first blow. I would hate to snuff out an opportunity like this.
Um, Duradon, if it's the equivalent of a turn that he is affording him, um,
Say
he'll
you take the
Chris.
first blow, that's all.
Okay. Uh, cool.
You can do if
So
you want to rage beforehand, you can do whatever you want. You're not in initiative yet.
cool. He'll crystalline carbonate, um, rage and take the first blow.
Let me ask you a question.
So,
As you close the distance, how does Duradon approach him? Is it a rush, a run, a walk?
I think the old him would have run in hearty and full of kind of like vigor, and there's no less energy placed here. But his approach is more methodical. It is a kind of using each step to kind of see where his muscles are at the time, which ones are the most feasible. He's observing his opponent as they're stood, and trying in that same calm that he fought Pride. Um, he is not just a savage individual that strikes. He looks for opportunity opening. He sees the locations that he would expect a skilled opponent to see him move from. Um, and he looks to uh, between the stride, um, look for a weakness or a point that is still valuable to strike, but seems unguarded from this man.
Uh, as you approach, you see no sign of him trying to stop the blow. He's just simply standing there.
He will, I think that within respect, he of course doesn't want to disrespect his opponent. Um, he will, I, I think because of the way that he's, carbonated his blade, uh, he will go for kind of a liver kind of stab, um, but flick the blade upward at the last minute, trying to change its direction, use the awkward shaping to slash for the veins along the neck within his strike.
Go ahead and roll me an attack roll. Are you doing this with Great Weapon Master?
Yep, with
Okay.
Great Weapon Master. And of course, you gotta make that bitch reckless.
Reckless, Great Weapon
That
Master. Go ahead and roll.
yeah.
Not soul bonded, so
That
it is the full -5.
yep. That is. Let's see.
Just for a little ambience.
That is a 23 to hit.
23.
Yeah.
And I was really thinking that you weren't gonna hit. Because it's a really high AC, but a 23 just hits.
And,
The impact of what you have, and you have not seen this before, because he's not wearing armor. He is wearing clothes. General run-of-the-mill clothing. I know general run-of-the-mill clothing, but like fine silks. You hit the skin. Again, no attempt made to block or stop it. And you see sparks. And you do damage. As you can go ahead and roll it.
okay.
You don't necessarily see blood coming out. Just a heavy scrape into the neck. Actually, we'll see whether or not we'll see if threshold is passed or not.
That is only going to be. Make sure I got all my shit clicked how they should be. Uh, that is 16. 33.
I thought it makes them big every time I drag them onto the map. Big ass motherfucker. 33 points of damage. It's over 25. You do see the damage goes through. The slash hits at the neck, and it carves at it, but it doesn't slash. He attempts to actually draw out blood and or to try and just slice his neck out. Wherever you hit, it doesn't feel human. It feels genuinely more like you hit something rather than someone. And as soon as you do, you see an immediate body response as he goes in an attempt to reach out for you. Let's go ahead and roll initiative.
Gotcha.
And out of character, 100%, this is Jordan Nabala.
E.
Ain't no surprise there. Could use Beyond D&D, but I want to keep his sheet hidden. I don't want to show off all of his modifiers. I'll do private rolls. Ooh, wow, that's actually really shitty. Even with a really good modifier, you still go first. It is only a 9. Starting off at the top of the round, you've already taken your first attack. So it's on your turn still. You still have your second attack and bonus action left, as all of the crystalline carbonate and raging was done prior. This is just first attack done, rest of turn open.
Gotcha. 2 more attacks, because I gave it the special property. Can't do without that. I am also going to do the assured lethality, so that it
Or
does the
so that we
minimum
can do
damage.
some math, baby.
Yep, so that I can do some fucking math. Alright, cool. One of these be a crit. Dear God. Another 19 for another 23.
23 hits.
Okay.
Now let me ask you
Right.
something, Jared.
Yes.
Just because you indirectly created this beauty, would you like a health bar on, or no?
Sure. Yeah. If it's gonna be
I
helpless.
will, for potential
see.
death of a character, I will allow you an opportunity to gain information about the world.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with it.
Cool.
I'm for certain with the shits. God, let me see. It is. No. 9. Been for that. Two.
Oh my god, that's
So the minimum, the average is 34. So I can't get lower than 34. But this one, this damage total is 36.
36 points of damage.
Uh,
Yet again, as you strike in, that same strangity. Where no blood has been drawn yet, you just leave behind a scuff mark on his neck.
Okay, and the final one, bonus action. Let's pray for a natural 20 here. No, that is not gonna hit. That's only 11.
This one, instead of dodging it, he just gently glides his hand along the blade's edge and just maneuvers it into the ground beside him before... Is that the end of your turn?
Yeah, that is indeed.
As he moves it to the side and you kind of try to yank it out to once again have it at your disposal, as you spend that effort, he uses that opportunity to move in closer to you. He just places a hand onto your chest. And you just feel this pulse in the nearby area. Like the entirety of this cavern, at least the entirety of the area around you, is, at least the best word that you could use to describe it is electrified. The very stones around you begin to click, move, and slowly drift upwards. I'd like to ask you to go ahead and make me a dexterity saving throw.
30. That's 20.
20?
Mhm.
That is a failure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and I can't technically move your token.
You
in
could
the
use the
3D.
talisman.
Let me tell you, the talisman adds a D4.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, D4 could potentially do it.
Cool. Talisman, go. That is a
Talisman, oh.
22.
A 22 is a
Yeah.
failure.
Okay.
I will tell you, it just fails. You need a 3 or higher. Cool.
Gotcha.
I can't physically put you in the 3D. However, that's interesting. Instead, oh wow, it just immediately dipped after playing the wrong fucking playlist. Thank you, bot. You watch as the stonework around you, at least the loose stonework, begins to rapidly rise up into the air, and you, along with it, you are shot 100 feet up into the air. And you are just stationary, standing there. And you watch as he looks up towards you, moves into the space that you were just in, and snaps his fingers, and you drop immediately from 100 feet downwards. And he's going to go ahead and action surge, reach up, and is going to go ahead and attempt to inflict wounds you. Now this one, I feel generous. I'll do in the roll 20. Just because it's fun. So 31 hit you.
That does.
Fantastic. And then, hold on. In the meantime, while I'm rolling this, what happened to my playlist? It died. Damn. Hey, there must be something wrong with the link. I got it specifically because I 100% knew one way or another you'd be fighting tonight. I got a JJK fight playlist, excuse me. And all of a sudden, Spotify is being a whole ass bitch about it. Damn. All right, we're gonna have to do just basic bitch shit. Cool. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah. Cool. So as you come down, immediately you're gonna be taking 31 points of damage plus 10d6. Oh, good fucking rolls on the bludgeoning. Cool. So that is 77 points of damage, halved because you are raging,
Mm-hmm.
down to 38.
Yep.
And you do fall prone, but that is the end of his turn. As he is now just standing over you. And you see, as he is standing over you, he reaches a hand down to you. You don't know whether it is to help. It looks like it's to help you up. But that's your turn. Or that's you, excuse me.
In battle, there unfortunately are no friends won. So he's not gonna use the hand up, but he is gonna stand for prone. Kind of flattened on his back. Use kind of like the vault to flip himself upward. And as he is coming up, he's going to try to heft the blade, kind of shortening its length to come slicing upward for his first attack. Again,
Go
it
for
is
it.
indeed. We're going to reckless and
Mm-hmm.
pray.
Don't forget you are soul bonded.
Uh, Garing.
Now you are.
Thank you. Now cool. This is going to be
Okay,
a
I'll
natural
be
20
your
somewhere on this bitch.
number one lawyer
No,
tonight. You need it.
that's
Definitely
13.
not. 13
Yeah.
misses by 10.
Gang. Nope. That's 10.
Yet
And then
another.
bonus action. Another 19 for 26 this time.
That definitely hits. You see, for the first two attacks, it is him, again, once more just gliding the blade out of the way. Not swatting it, but just grabbing at the edge, raw hand on the metal, and just moving it out of the way from the original target and just kind of drifting it either downwards towards the stone or just flicking it to the side. And you see he looks confused. As in, almost expecting more, but after the third thrust towards him actually making contact, the smile returns. He goes,
I was losing confidence for a second there. Thought I had perhaps mistaken you for a proper warrior.
Doradon does smile, but he doesn't say anything. That is going to be 32
32
points
points
of
of
damage.
damage.
Nice.
Well, as nice as it can be.
For sure,
Um,
for sure.
Free attacks. That's
Mhm.
action, bonus action, any movement or anything else that you like to do.
No. He's gonna stand and fight his fight.
Top of his turn, Jordan Dambala is going to go ahead and attempt to walk out of your melee range. I'll go ahead and take an attack of opportunity if you like.
I surely indeed will. That is going to be a let's go.
Natural 20.
That is indeed.
Hell yeah.
That is only going to be fucking math, I guess. I think
It's going to be
plus
numbers
11
something fucking
plus
very new.
9. 45 of damage.
45 points of damage. I'm so sorry that the health bar is not going to move down as much as you want, but just know you're doing great. Uh, the attacks seem effective, but not as nearly as much as they normally are, despite being a magical weapon. And you see, as he turns his back to do this, and he just begins to walk away, you stab in to just kind of like the base of where the shoulder blades meet, and kind of dig in deep, and this time, you feel give. And you see there's a slight trickle of a dark liquid coming out of its back. Now, it doesn't seep out immediately. It doesn't look like it's a major wound. So you can't make out the full color and or depth of the actual wound itself from beneath the clothing. But you can definitely tell you did more than you've been doing so far. And he kind of turns around curiously before continuing to walk back. And you see he extends his hands out and begins mumbling in that language that he previously spoke in when he was casting the spell and the small chant that he did beforehand when you were in chains and he was attempting to read your mind. And you see the room that is already lit up by the light spell from which he cast previously, or more accurately, daylight spell that he cast previously, begins to light even more. From the stone almost crawling upwards, you see a circle begin to form around you. And not just around you, encompassing almost the entirety of the cavern itself, in roughly about a 90-foot circle, 9-foot radius. A small ring of fire, no larger than a few inches off of the ground. And he watches it circles and it connects into itself, sealing. And then you see in the air, directly above where the circle is inlaid on the ground, a ring of fire begins to form. And another layer, and another layer, and another layer, and another. And you can see it just begins to form this almost hourglass-like shape in the air around you and above you before it collapses in on itself and a firestorm erupts into the area. Now, obviously you see this, so you do get advantage. It is a dexterity saving throw.
That is 21. That doesn't work, which the last
was the
spell
thing?
DC was yeah. So I'm gonna use another charge for the saving throw aspect.
Let me quickly check. I think that uses your reaction. Do so. Let me take a little look-see.
Mm.
No, you just get at it.
Gang,
My
gang, gang.
apologies. Continue on.
That is going to be 23.
23 is a success. You're going to go ahead and take half damage from this. As the fire envelops you, this time being a little bit more prepared for the spell. And it's a longer cast time. Which, by the way, you haven't seen a spell be cast like this before. The way that he's doing this, and you knowing just how hopeless of a victory this is for you, you get he's probably putting in some thematics for you to make it look a little bit more of a interesting battle than rather than just murdering you. But for halved, down to 15, half down to 7 fire damage. Because barbarian.
Barbarian, the most essential fucking barbarian there is.
You see, he takes a second and smiles before walking halfway back up again and kind of extending out his hand in a provocative gesture, inviting you to come closer. It's the end of his turn.
This time Doradon is going to charge, but he gets to the 10-foot or like the 10-foot gap, and in place of charging directly, he's going to go for an overhead swing. As he like feints that he's going to swing down with his force, he's going to attempt to vault over behind Jordan and right from his back. The only place that he's drawn blood from up until this point.
I'm so glad that you did this to yourself, naming your characters so similarly.
Yeah.
Jordan. Yeah, go for it. Go ahead and make me acrobatics check real quick.
Okay.
Because you're gonna try and
Acrobatics
go
is
over him, correct?
Yes, I'm gonna try to
With
bolt
full?
over.
Okay.
Mhm.
I gotta ask. You can make acrobatics or athletics if you want. If you're gonna do a pole vault.
Yeah, I'm gonna do athletics. They are like one modifier point off, but at the same time, I get
You
advantage
can get
on
advantage. Yeah,
drift.
go for it. You take what you can
Natural
get.
20 for 27.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You 100% like an Olympic pole vaulter slam the bottom of the glaive into the stone, and not expecting it, he looks like he's ready for the attack, and you just see he doesn't look like shocked or wild, but he just kind of gives like this genuine like look of impressed smile as you fully vault over him, and he again is like 6'6". He is not an easy target to vault over, and you yourself are a large gentleman standing at, I think, like 6'9", something ridiculous.
Yeah, so some ridiculous.
Yeah,
It was,
so to move your
fucking
body that much, you fling yourself well over, coming to a sliding
sorry.
stop.
7-1.
7-1. Yeah, no, you're dirt on ridiculous at all. So you send the
Yeah.
full 7-1 of yourself over him, landing on the other side, sliding to a stop, and then going in for the attack on his back before he can fully turn around. Go for it.
Gang,
I'll
gang,
say go
gang.
ahead. If you want to reckless for all of them, you can, but you'll have advantage on this first attack no matter what.
Yeah, it was gonna be reckless either way, but I love the advantage. Cool.
Go for it.
Natural 20, be kind to me. Whisper sweet nothings into my ear. That's a 19. I'll take it.
Oh my, so many 19s tonight.
Like, geez, if I was a champion fighter in this motherfucker, I'd be. Yeah, it'd be a good
Take what we
time.
can get.
That's 18 plus 34 on
4
the
points
first
of
attack.
damage.
The second attack, that is a 24.
Christ, yeah, that hits.
That is going to be
Oh my god.
37 points of damage.
Good fucking roll.
Beautiful fucking roll. That 10 fucking chef's kiss right there. And then the bonus action attack, that is 22.
22 is a miss.
Gang. I'll use a inspiration point.
Go for it.
I'm gonna die pretty
Yeah,
soon here.
one extra roll.
Yeah, it's just a normal roll.
Regular roll.
That's a crit. Your boy's looking
Oh.
real critty out
Ladies
here
and
tonight.
gentlemen, you heard it here first. Jared orgasming over natural 20s.
Yeah, you got to. Listen,
Oh.
I'm gonna die with a crit. Come on.
Hey, brother, you getting sent off in multiple ways at once. We love to see it.
Yeah, that's good.
Goddamn.
That's 21 plus 14 plus 11.
35.
That's 46.
46 points of damage.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. You can actually see the health bar now.
Yeah.
You can see it's gone down. There you go. I will say at this point, do you have any other bonus actions or anything?
No. My bonus actions currently are just straight reserved for this.
Got you. You can see at this point, with multitude slashes to his back, there is a substance coming out, and it does begin to leak onto the floor as you've slashed one space enough to deal well over the threshold. It's not red, and it doesn't look like blood. It is a deep, black, almost oil-like liquid that has the viscosity a little thicker than oil, almost like a tar, like goop, slowly seeping out onto the floor. And you can see it does kind of land and then settle after a few seconds, you see he turns around with a smile and goes,
Now that seems to be more of your speed. I see you're enjoying yourself. It is good. I would never want to deprive you of these. I'm glad I offered. Now, if you would, shake my hand, Doridon.
first turn, I'm going to go out and ask you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
Okay, that is going to be. If it's the same DC, I cannot pass. Well, technically with Kipley's thing. Hold on.
Yeah, try. Try. You
Yeah.
have one more charge of that.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
You just feel this command run through you. And you end up preparing to reach out your hand. And that is the end of his turn. For your turn, you use your action to go ahead and reach out your hand. And as you clasp his, contrary to most spells, normally only has one effect. I'm going to give you a little spoiler, just because I really liked making this ability. Jordan Nabala, and this is one of his lower level abilities, specifically can command creatures to, if they make contact with him, set off one of 5 different effects. And for this effect, he chooses Explosion. You watch as his hand ignites and a fireball drops in the center of both of you, spreading out from your shared radius in a 20-foot sphere. Go ahead and make me another dexterity saving throw. The fire consumes him, and as the flames die down after the white-hot explosion erupts, he looks completely unfazed. Only thing that's affected is his clothing. That is a failure. Ooh, look at you failing a deck save. I get full damage. What a gentleman you are. Nothing fancy. This is just normal fireball. So that's a full 26 points of damage, halved down to 13.
Gotcha.
That is the end of your turn. That brings us back to his. And he goes,
I could keep repeating this until you are dead. That would be a disrespect to you. You are clearly trying. It is not successful, but you are trying.
And he's going to go ahead for his action and cast Heal on himself. And you watch as all of the wounds on his back mend. The scars and deep slashes from your initial onslaught on the neck, for the most part, remain. But you can see that black, liquid, that black ooze, stops leaking from his back. And as far as you know, it is completely sealed. End of his turn. Back to you.
Gotcha. Same verse as the last he was able to participate in. He's going to, I think now that he's freed, he is going to try to lance for any available skin. He's gonna work again on the neck, and make his attack. That is going to be 24.
24 hits?
for a total of. Good God, thank you. Plus 8. 40 points of damage.
40 points of damage. Ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doo.
Second attack. That is a 25.
25 hits. You are rolling well.
I need
Look
you.
at
That
you.
is another 40 points of damage.
Oh my god. The wound that just closed up is starting to open.
And the last attack is 24. Another 24.
24 hits.
For I think this is 39, but let me check.
28 plus 11, 39.
Yeah, 39.
Gotcha.
So 119 across those three.
Whew. Health bar gone. He healed, and then the heal's gone. You see, he does genuinely like look. I don't want to say happy, but there's a smile on his face, and again, he's not stopping you from doing these attacks. The sloppy ones, yes, he deflects, but for the most part, he's just letting you go at it and looks genuinely excited that you're doing so. Is that the end of your turn?
That is, yeah.
Fantastic. He's gonna go ahead and use his first legendary action. You watch as soon as your turn is over, as soon as you finish the multitude of attacks, he looks at you, and there is this kind of moment where you don't know whether he is smiling out of joy for like the thrill of this, or there is some serious plotting going on, and that question is quickly answered as he extends out his hand towards you, and not actually laying a hand on you, but just kind of in your general direction. And there's this moment where the air around you begins to flicker and almost have that film-like texture where it's in intense heat. You think that it's going to be another firestorm or another fireball. And instead, coming out of that shimmer, you watch as two large mitts, not even could be considered hands, just these armored gauntlet-like hands rip open the air, and you see this lumbering, what you could approximate to be roughly 14-ish foot tall. To your best guess, because you're not really that well studied in other worlds, demon, devil, red-skinned winged creature doesn't step out. It just pries the air open, and you see it inhale and then just exhale in your direction, and there's just a almost beam of fire. Not even a breath, it's just a concentrated blast in your direction. That is gonna go ahead and be. And those were all reckless, so it has advantage on it. Oh my god. I'm sorry, this is going to be very disrespectful. Does a 34 hit?
That does, yeah.
Cool. What is your normal AC?
16.
16, cool. Okay. Natural one I could have missed. This intake of fire just washes over you. And you're expecting to take it pretty well. Unfortunately, You take 36 points of fire damage, not halved. The full 36 points. As whatever hits you doesn't really matter about fire resistances or not. At least bypasses resistances. Something that you've really only read about before, but never have actually faced up until this point. That is the Hellfire effect, if you're wondering. Jared might recognize the character that hit him. Durdon definitely doesn't. As the fire comes out, the portal closes, and that is the end of his legendary end of your turn, end of his legendary action. Back to him. How hurt does Durdon look?
Dordon is like double digits. He's low double digits. He got 17 hit points out of 112.
Cool. Seeing him in a bloodied and bruised state, you see Jordan looks at you and goes,
It was short-lived, but I have not enjoyed a fight like that since Calamity. You did well. Any last words that you would like me to pass on to you, family or friends?
He thinks for a moment. Tells Iris that she would be a great mom.
Cyrus. Amaril, it is right. Your lover. I'll have
Former in
something
a
to
few
pass on your
seconds.
message.
Former in a few seconds.
I'm sorry, I genuinely didn't hear what you said. You cut out.
Former in a few seconds.
There we go. Okay, thank you. My internet was literally having the worst fucking douche moment, right? It just kept cutting out the worst time. Former if you just he smiles.
Redon Bishala. Although it will not be known through the wide world, in the history books will find a lack of your accomplishments. You may die proud. You would have grown into a very strong man. But you still died an adequate warrior.
And he's gonna go ahead just because he can. And he's gonna go ahead and cast Inflict Wounds at 9th level. Now if he misses, that'd be hilarious.
I don't think he's gonna miss.
That's a 31. Oh, please. If there is a Roll20 god listening, let me crit. Okay, well, that's an unknown command. Cool. I cannot type. Only a 31. Cool. That is 12d10. Low rolls. Still enough. Durdon. You watch as Jordan Dambala reaches out, and you expect, because you've been hit by inflicted wounds before, where you fought with Reese. You're very familiar with the spell. You expect him to just lay his hand on you like Reese did. But instead, he grabs the back of your neck, reaching around with his left arm. And with his right hand, begins to insert and dig his entire fist into your chest. And you can feel 1, 2, 3, 4 ribs crack and crumble to dust immediately as his hand enters into the very same hole that used to be there not but a few days ago. Rips into your chest. You can feel as he grabs onto your lungs, squeezes, and the necrotic energy immediately pulses through your entire body, starting at the chest. To an outsider, probably look like a very brutal and painful way to die. But for a warrior's perspective, far more fitting than a spellcaster simply slinging from afar. As your organs begin to wither and your mind begins to slowly shut down, would you like to give any last thoughts for Duradon before he drops to 0 hit points?
I think Duradon inevitably, in the end, made peace with where he was and what was going on. He knew what he was tasked to do, and he knew what calm he had to endure to get to awaken. Um, but it just seemed like it would be death either way. And more than when he died the other 2 times, he certainly dies with a bit more regret. But he hopes that just means that he did it right this time, as opposed to the other 2 times. But he doesn't complain. He doesn't cry. He simply allows himself to not exist.
As you close your eyes, preparing for nothingness, you hear singular voice ring through your head. Duradon, sure you want this to be your end? Last chance, Mr. Bashala.
What's the cost?
Simply say the words and you have my aid.
Are you asking me to make another deal with you?
Darling, what did we say when we first made our agreement? No deals. Just say the words. You know them. You don't say them very often.
If you're trying to get me to ask for help,
Go ahead and make me an insight check. I'll say
Um,
you can make it with advantage.
Gang insight. That is 20.
20?
Yeah.
She is for sure making you ask for help.
Oh, okay.
Ask
He
for
doesn't
help
have pride anymore for
and
that.
or say pretty please.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
Because she made you say
The
please
old,
the first time she helped you.
yeah, Durdan didn't have any more pride for that shit. He's like, oh fuck. Please. I could really use some. I don't want to die. Let's make it clear. I don't want to die. I'm accepting death. So if you got something, help would be like really, really useful here. Please.
Well, your friends already been captured and are on their way to the wall at this moment. You're going to be dead in about half a second when this conversation finishes and his necrotic energy reaches your heart. So, I'm only really left with one option.
Which is
How do you think your how good do you think your British accent is? This is me asking the player.
oh
You get a C. No, she goes, how good of an accent can you do? Let's find out, shall we?
very okay.
And there is no visible sign to this, but very similar to how you first met. In your complete pitch darkness, waiting for death, you see, in what little of a mind's eye you have left, a door. And you feel a request for it to open. You may choose.
Open.
You're gonna open it?
Uh, I thought you were done talking. No, you say what you're gonna say.
No. I was gonna say you can choose to fully leave it open, or excuse me, you can choose to fully leave it closed or to open it. You have the full understanding that if you leave it closed, you will die.
He'll open the door and he kind of does like the the precocious black people thing, or it's not really a black people thing. It's just like a urban people thing. He'll like open the door a crack just to look through it and see what's on the other side.
There's no crack, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Second your hand touches the handle and you turn, there's almost a flinging sensation. And you, my friend, have had a cacophony of voices in your head. Friends, foes, new, old. But never before have you been the spectator. And now, welcome to the stands. As Durdon's body hits the cold stone floor, Jordan begins to walk away, for a sharp hiss begins to release. And you sit upright. And you look around and you can see, and you can hear, and you can feel. But you're not moving. In fact, you are simply watching as Jordan slowly turns around with a confused look. You watch as you almost flauntingly open your arms up wide in almost like a "where my hug at" gesture. And you hear your own voice speak out with a weird, eccentric accent. Jordan. Jordan Damballa. That is a name I haven't heard in centuries. Come on! You had a handshake earlier. Come give your friend a hug, baby. And you see this look of confusion turn to concern. And you watch as you just begin to laugh. Jared, can you do an evil Monago laughter for me? I want to hear what that sounds like.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I
Give me your
don't
best.
know if I can.
I believe.
What type of is it like a feminine or a masculine or is it my voice?
If you can do feminine, rock it, girl.
I can't. I was like, I don't know who I'm. Is it
Do your
fucking
best.
my vocal cords or somebody else's vocal cords? I don't know, man.
It's your vocal cords.
Oh, it's my vocal cords. Jordan Michael F. Um, that's literally me. Um,
Oh, fucking perfect. As Durdan's laugh begins to come out, and the Monarch of Mischief finishes the possession, the rest of you, moving rapidly underground by the guidance of this strange creature and the guards on its back, begin to hear an echoing laughter in the cavern that you're traveling. Jared, can you do it? No, I'm kidding. No, you. And it turns into this booming voice that echoes throughout the caverns, and it expands outward, and the stonework around you begins to crumble and crack. And the boom accentuates to the point where the worm-like creature that you were scuttling on top of halts, grinds, and slams into the side of the wall, skirting to a stop. And simultaneously, without Duradon's body or any of you lifting a finger, everything seems to stop. Duradon, you see as Jordan in front of you looks like he's beginning to open his mouth to make a response, or to simply cast a spell or an incantation, but is stopped. Frozen. Mustang, Mammoth, and Kipley, you see the two guards who should be thrown off the front of this creature into the wall are in a similar state. Frozen mid-buck, unmoving, just similarly as the creature itself. Few of you have experienced this effect before on a much smaller scale. Everything seems to come to a stop. There is a new voice, one none of you have heard before.
So it is finally time. Come, children. Let us decide your fates then. You watch as the world around you begins to warp. Very similar to how portals have appeared in front of you. Dimension doors, vortex warps, all different sorts of teleportation or misty steps even. You've seen a body move from one space to another. Even Mustang walking through walls. This, unlike the instant bamfing from one spot to another, this is the bamfing of one moment to another. 1 second, Kipley, Mustang, and Mammoth are about to crash into a stone wall. 1 moment, Duradon, aka the Monarch of Mischief, was about to have a very unsettling round 2. And the next. All of you are gathered, standing, looking over, seems to be a skyline. Sitting on a smooth stone plateau, wind rushing against you, blowing your equipment and hair and clothes. Looking around you, it takes you a moment to recognize where you are as you look downwards and see miles and miles away the very distant speck of a city of Paradise Peak beneath. And turning to face forward is a marble and a mixture of stone forming not into a temple, not into a magnificent mansion, but into a pantheon. Various different sculptures of beings and creatures that you've never seen before, lining up to its entrance. And a shadow of a silhouette beckoning you to enter. And that, I think, is a good place to end tonight's session.
Oh man.
As next time, I want to have a little bit more time to deal with the meeting of the monarchs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, fair enough.
Monarch King.
I
Sweat
hope you
over here, man.
enjoyed.
That was so tense. The Duradon fight was so intense.
I know, dude.
Just for clarification, I
also-
did 382 points of damage, and
Good
I missed
lord.
like 5 attacks.
You
And
slayed that.
also, his health bar barely went down. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
that's why I was looking at it. I was like,
I'm not gonna tell you the total. But man, to see it move a little blip by blip, truly disheartening. You would have to, even if you crit every single attack, not a single chance. Not a single chance. But I do have to make an apology because I think this is like the second and or third time I've had Jared make a death monologue speech / final thoughts for Duradon. But if I don't do it, then you get too much confidence of, oh, I'm not gonna die or something's gonna be coming. So I gotta every time.
this
Oh.
brother has died 4 times. This or 3 times. This fucker has died.
Technically, you didn't die that time. You just dropped unconscious, but he was 100% gonna kill you afterwards.
This shit is like, who is the god of death? Who is the god of death that keeps looking at my name, get a
Let
race
me
off the
tell
ballot?
you, I have a really funny interaction lined up at some point.
This motherfucker keeps going like, fuck,
It's gonna be like the
fuck you.
fucking Injustice Batman and the Raves. They've been like, this motherfucker has escaped us so many times.
Oh, it's fast or fast god of the underworld. I don't know, I'm not sure if he's god of the dead, but he's god of the underworld. This motherfucker, he's looking like, fuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got some fun stuff planned.
That's
Hopefully, we live to see it.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, why won't you let me die? Why won't you let me die? Oh yeah, by the way, Ezrin fully gone. Fully gone. Bro, it's just like, oh, let me go look down this tunnel, and then it kept going and it kept going, and then the equivalent to a purple worm tore through his body before he could even register what it was.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like he lost reception or something.
No, he's a shadow spawn. He can go as far as he wants for an hour, but
I mean, I don't know things about shadows.
he went to the shadow realm instead. Oh yeah. Well, I know it may not be a conclusion because it only leaves more questions. But I hope it was a somewhat decent continuation.
Oh, it was very entertaining, very riveting.
Yeah.
Edge of my seat, sweat on my under titties, in the words of Jared.
Sweating my under titties was
In a
peak.
cold room.
In a cold
room.
room. Let me tell you this, Jared.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited to play Jordan tonight and just pull off the old man wisdom, boy, let me teach you all of the shit that you should have learned before I killed you type fight. I have been waiting to give this man dialogue, but it's been hard. I haven't had the opportunity. So thank you for walking up to his doorstep and telling his fucking family that you were killed by Lorenzo.
Yeah, and he now knows everything. So he's like,
Oh yeah.
he knows of the fucking the sponsor and shit, and he's like, and Dordan's like, fuck,
Let me tell
I
you,
believed in people.
literally
Shit.
no inside check needed. Well, technically you don't know what parts he already knew, but he straight up said he already knew. He said, I already know this. You just don't know what this is referring to.
Yeah.
Could be everything, could be
Yeah.
some things, could be bluffing.
I don't think he's
Jordan's
bluffing.
growing cynical. He's like, fuck, nobody's good. Like the people I killed,
Hey man, the
they
mind
were
of mischief is good, right?
no,
That's what I'm saying.
no,
Uh,
nobody. There is no good.
No.
There's,
have
he's
you
like, fuck, I
seen
just want